Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making a video of my SKS. If you guys have not already seen the video, this is my Chinese Type 56 SKS. I got it at the store a few years ago. I paid $500 for it. There are a lot of other versions you get cheaper, but this had all matching serial numbers and the wood stock was still shiny and nice, so I paid the $500. But so everyone was wondering, or one person was wondering, not everyone was wondering how I got this mount on here, and you guys said that it was pretty accurate. It seemed pretty accurate, and how I got it on here. I won't be disassembling it because of all the new YouTube's gun rules and stuff, but I will explain how I got it mounted. This one was the first test run of trying to get it fitted. See the filing marks. This was a Weaver mount for the SKS. You don't have to bolt anything in, it just slides right in. And you just got to get this pin to go through the hole, and you have to file the front a little bit, but you have to file it without messing up this area. So you got to file this, just this, without messing up any of this. And to do that, I got to file. I needed this edge, but I needed this to not have any rough edge, to not mess up that, like this side. So I put it on a 2x4, just like right on here. I don't have the 2x4 with me, or any block of wood, just so it's a little bit raised. And I would, with this side, file down here. File it very slowly because this is mild steel. This is not tool steel. It's very, very soft. Like a few too many files and you will be you would have filed too much, and then it will be loose, and if you shake the mount it will shake, and which is why I have two, because I filed too much and then I had to order another one. This was so this one was a UTG mount for the SKS, still like a Weaver mount. They're both see-through. This one's also see-through, the same exact design. And so now I'm gonna explain how to match this up, because you have to file it, and you can't just file it and throw it on there. You have to file a little bit and then match it up over and over and over until you get it right. But the thing is, like, I thought filing this was gonna be I thought it was gonna be so hard, because filing metal sounds like it's a nightmare, but it's actually quite easy. Like if you just file this 5 times, it comes down. You'll see all the metal shavings like come off like real fast. So seeing the metal shavings, you have to know that the file's working. So first of all, you have to take this pin out, and the long spring, I don't know if you're familiar with SKS, but if you do have an SKS, you should know how to take this mount off. You just flick this up and you pull it out, and there's also a pin in that pin. There's a pin, so if that's this pin, there's another little pin right here. So you have to pull it out the right way, so you don't bend the pin or break anything. And then there's a spring, the long spring. You want to take that spring out and put it somewhere safe, somewhere it won't get dirty while you're doing all this. You don't want any of the metal shavings to go in the spring or in the gun. So I took the spring out. I would shave a little bit, like this side, and then to not mess up this edge, you don't want to mess up this edge or this edge, because these two edges go on the edge right here. It locks up against this rail, and the same on the other side. And then the top inner pieces go in between on the inside right here. So it's kind of tricky. Even this one, the second time I was doing it, I got the pin kind of in, so you'll have to kind of shove the pin in and see if it goes through, and just a little bit at a time. And eventually you're gonna feel this pin kind of like the nudge of the pin kind of just sit right here. And then you should get like a light hammer, not a heavy hammer, because you could start bending and breaking things. But just tap the pin, and well, this is gonna be up like this, I think. And then you tap it and see if it goes in. If it doesn't go in with light taps, maybe even tap it with like this plastic or rubber. Like tap it, and if it doesn't go in, then you have to take it out and file some more. But so I did that. I would keep matching it up and seeing if it would go in, and if it was not going in, I would file a little more, like I'm saying, like when you file it, like maybe 3 times on both, and then like for this side, like 3 times. And when you're doing this edge, try to keep it lifted so you're not scraping this edge. Because do it one at a time, because, and then match it up, and you'll be able to see this little edge if it either matches up right up against here. It'll match up right up against there. See, there's a little, see it's tight here. Now on this new one, and it's tight on here too. It's right up against. So, and if you do file too much, but just a hair, if you go way too much, you're gonna have to buy a new one. But if you do just a hair, you can get 2 wrenches, and you clamp them here, and you spread it apart. If it's a little wiggly up here, up top, and if it's still too loose, you can, what I did was I bent this, I think I bent it up. I bent this up. So this slanted edge would ride harder against this back right here, because it goes in right there. So I pulled it up with a wrench. I tried it on this one, but I filed way too much on this one. As you can see, it's kind of a little too much. So I had to buy another one off eBay or Amazon. You could probably find them, but they're getting hard to find, and they're getting expensive. These used to be $20 a few years ago. They're about 30 to 40, 45, 50 now, because they're getting hard to find. Not a lot of people make them anymore. So, and there's other mounts that I saw. It's called Adley's mount, I think. And it's just like this. Or no, it's not like this, but it kind of goes up. But it has metal plates that come down, and then you have to screw into your receiver. And I did not want to mess with this receiver. This is like an antique to me. Very tough antique. Battle ready. Battle proven rifle that I think this gun is bulletproof. I've never had a single jam. So in my last video, I kept having misfires. Not misfires, light primer strikes. But I have never cleaned this gun, and the last time I brought this to the range, it was a hot summer day a few years ago, and because it was hot, the cosmoline inside the bolt and the firing pin was probably warm enough that it wasn't jamming up. But the other day, if you saw my video, that was me at the range. It was about 50 degrees, maybe 49 degrees, very windy. I was in the shade, the gun was in the shade, so it was quite chilly. So the cosmoline was a lot thicker, a lot stickier, so I was having a lot of light primer strikes for the first time. There were some people at the range that also had an SKS, and they said they never had a problem with their SKS. Never ever had a light primer strike or any kind of failure. So I took their word for it. I told them that I've never cleaned this gun because they asked me if I cleaned this gun, and I did not. So they said it's quite simple. You just take this off, and the bolt is right under this piece. This slides right out, and the bolt comes out right with it. And I looked at it, and it looked like it was just oozing cosmoline out from the firing pin everywhere. So there's YouTube videos that I looked up. I don't know what channel, but there's a bunch of them on how to clean and disassemble the SKS bolt. If you have not already done that to your SKS, I highly recommend you do that. At least clean out the cosmoline in the firing pin and the bolt. And just wipe everything down. The trigger group and everything, there's a few springs, but they're so tough and durable. You really don't need to clean them, but I did spray them with some this is what I use, some gun treatment, because I like that because it dries, it wipes away dry, so I like that one. I'm sure a lot of them do. I'm new to this. I'm new to cleaning these guns, so I just picked. I was recommended this by another person at the store, so that's what they use and recommended for me. So I was shooting about three like groups about this wide from this scope. This is a Pinty 2.5 by 10 by 40 scope. I do like this scope. I saw a YouTuber trying to give a review of this, and I didn't like how he went about it. He said he said a lot of not nice words about this scope, and then he shot it. And that was his review. He didn't put it on a gun or anything, but I wanted to bring a review to you guys. I'm definitely not rich, so I do go on eBay and just try to find any scope that has a decent magnification power, but also I like it to have about 1 to 2 power starting, so you can zoom out so you can get a wide field of view. Getting even a 3x9 starting at 3, it's pretty zoomed in, so you can't get a good range of view. And I mean, when you look down the scope, you can only see this much of a zoomed in area, whereas a 2x5, if I leave it on, I can see through the scope. I can see a large angle. I can see like half of a yard, you know, or like a big wide angle. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just rambling, but you see a lot more when it's zoomed out. So even on my 1022, I have a 1x6 scope by Marcool, and I shoot tight groups with it. I can zoom in and zoom out. So if you do see a scope, the 1x6s and 1x5s, I don't know why, but they are more expensive. They start at around $80 to $100, and they go up to hundreds of dollars. So I got a Marcool one from I think at eBay or Amazon, or I also see Monstrum have them. They look like the similar design. And I see a lot of people doing torture tests with these scopes, dropping them upside down. Like, I get it, you want to see if it's gonna hold up, but this rifle is like 15 pounds, I feel like. If I throw this upside down, it will bend the aluminum frame, bend this mount. It will be bad. It will be very, very damaging. It won't shoot straight. So I try to be careful with my rifles. I put them in gun bags. You know, I take care of them. So it's, you know, if I even punch this thing or jab at it, I'm sure it'll immediately be off 0. But if you've seen my videos, so when I was at the range, this did have a little wiggle to it. So at the end of the video, you saw my shot groups were about this wide, and from where I was seated at 50 yards at my table, I could wiggle this and I could see the crosshair move that much. Like, it would just wiggle like that much on the bullseye. So I was shooting, this was shooting very, very straight, but it was this mount that was wiggling, and I before I would shoot, like, I would like look through the scope, and I would just wiggle it while I was looking through the scope, and I could see the crosshairs move about 5 inches on the bullseye where I was aimed at when I was zoomed in at 10. So this goes to 2.5 to 10, and then it zooms in very quick. I really like this mount, and I think if you haven't seen my other video, in the middle of the video while I'm shooting, I put my camera into the lens, and you can see the target, and it's quite clear. It's very clear. The only thing is, you do have to be kind of close to the scope to see through when it's zoomed in at 10x. So at times I had my safety glasses on, but when I was shooting the scope, because this thing kicks like a mule. It is not a little 22, or these SKS rounds are very, very not the most powerful, but it's very strong. It's a good gun to do a torture test on a scope. And let me tell you, this was holding up and held up through all the rounds that I did, or all the rounds that I shot at the range. So that would be my torture test. If it can hold 0 after a range day on a SKS, you know, as long as you're careful and you don't kick it around and you don't drop it upside down, I'm sure it'll hold 0 for a while. So I'm gonna be taking this to the range in the next few weeks again, so I'll have another video update. I'm excited to go to the range because I cleaned the firing pin and the bolt. You got to punch out a bolt to get the firing pin out, and that when you punch out the firing pin, keep your hand on the firing pin, because there's a spring that kind of wants to launch it out a little bit, and you don't want to lose that little spring that goes into the bolt before you slide the firing pin in to the slot, before you punch the pin back in with the little pin that you punch out. It's hard to explain all this, but someone wanted to see how I mounted it. So at the range, this had a little wiggle, and when I got home, I was determined to fix that. And so what I did was The side, I pulled the side apart on this one already, so it wasn't the side to side movement. It was kind of like it was weak up here. It wasn't really tight up front. So I bent this up. I got a wrench and I just bent it. I just clamped it here and I just bent it up. And bending it up, I thought bending it down would work, but bending it down will make this angled part sit looser up against this little slot where it has to go divot in. See, it has to divot in that little angle. This piece, not this piece, but this piece divots into the receiver like so. So at first I bent it down and that didn't work. So I bent it up, and just that angle, this angle being tighter, made this tight. And now this does not wiggle at all. So I am super excited to get back to the range with this rifle. Sorry I didn't take it apart and show you guys how I matched it up. I don't want this video to get taken down with all the new YouTube rules. I don't know the rules quite well, but taking apart a gun is one of the things you can't do anymore. So, yep, that's my review. And this is my Amazon Pinty 2x5 at 10. It does also have the red, blue, and green lights, or red, just red and green lights, and they're very visible. And these are I don't wanna mess with that because it's zeroed in, fairly zeroed, till I'm at the range. And then now that it doesn't wiggle, I can I'm sure I'll be able to hit bullseyes and maybe get a group the size of a quarter. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, so that's my that's how I got this mount. You know, you might mess it up trying to file it right, so you might as well order two, or you gotta be real careful. And you gotta, once again, you put it in here, take the spring out, because at first when I was doing this one, I left the spring in here. And I was pushing it up against the spring and trying to push this in. So I was messing it up. I didn't get it perfectly in. I was pushing it and trying to get the pin in against the spring's tension that's pushing it out about an inch. So take that spring out. That's what I did for the second one, and I did much better. And then match it up, file a little bit, match it up. And sometimes if you might have to even file this edge, not the longer edge, but this edge too, like just like this. So I put tape here for that exact reason. So or on this side, so I could use this, and I would go like this. I would file it like that, so I wouldn't mess this up. Because if you file this too deep, it's gonna be too narrow. You're gonna make this narrow, so when you slide it in, it's gonna wiggle against the front edge of the receiver. So you're gonna be shooting left and right. So that's why I put tape on it, a little bit of tape, and it didn't scratch it. It didn't scratch. You know, the tape's still there, and I would just scrape away on this side, See, you can see I scraped away on this side and this side, but I went too far. So this video is getting too long. You guys are gonna hate me for it. Sorry that it's forever. I just get carried away. But that's my review of the Weaver, or this one was a Weaver mount. This is a UTG. It's stamped somewhere, but it's the UTG mount. And yeah, they both work. I actually think the Weaver one that I messed up was actually made a little bit durable. Like this metal right here was thicker than, you see, this metal right here is a little bit thinner than that. So if you could find the Weaver one, I don't know, it's called the Weaver. That's how it was labeled on eBay. But they're both Weaver because the Weaver mount is this top design. But, yep. So that's my review. Thanks for watching, guys. Watch out for my next video. Subscribe. Thanks.